Hello everyone, we are from Group 2. Today we are going to present about the ICE standard form of contract.
ICE standard form of contract. The ICE Condition of Contract (COC) were published by Thomas Telford on behalf of the Institution of Civil Engineers (ICE), the Association of Consulting Engineers (ACE), and the Civil Engineering Contractors Association (CECA). The ICE contract has been around since 1945 and is intended for use on civil engineering works. The contract does not recognize the existence of Conditons surveyor. All payment and valuation are by the engineers, although a QS may actually do some of this work. After over 60 years of publication, on 1st August 2011, the ICE officially withdrew its form of contract, which was in its 7th edition 1999 in favor of New Engineering Contract (NEC). The withdrawal of the ICE suits have meant that the only form endorsed by the institution is now NEC 3, where form of tender, agreement, condition, and bond published by the Institution of Civil Engineers have been designed to standardize the duties of contractor, employees, and engineers, and to distribute fairly the risks inherent in civil engineering. Unification or standardization. Normally, the life of standard form construction and engineering contract is characterized by the stability, which is a main part of their attraction. The ICE contract was one of the best known of the traditional engineering-based form of contract and was indeed the original basis of the FIDIC suits, which is the 1957 first edition of the Red Book, closely followed by the ACE, Association of Consulting Engineers form, which was a version for international use of the ICE 4th edition. During the ICE contract era, it was the dominant form of contract for civil engineering, where payment and valuation are all by the engineer. The key characteristics of the contract were valuation by measurement, engineering responsibility for design, engineer as the impartial certifier and valuer, and engineer decision as the first stage of dispute resolution. So that is for unification or standardization for ICE form of contract.
The ICE standard form of contract, mainly for civil engineering and some type of building work that involve a larger amount of earthwork. A particular advantage of the ICE condition is in the preparation of the provision of the contract line in the hands of an independent engineer who is not a party to the contract, but is required to act independently within the term of contract, having regarding to all the circumstances. This gives assurance to both employer and contractor that their interests and obligations under the contract are very fair. Also, the contractor is prepared for overcome difficulties he could not reasonably have foreseen. Both these matters reduce the contractor's risk, making it possible for him to reach his lower economic price. This benefits the employer since the initial price is low and he does not pay out to cover risks which may not occur. The key characteristics for this standard contract were: first, variation by measurement; second, engineering responsibility for design; third, engineer as the impartial certifier and valuer; fourth, engineer's discussion as the first stage of dispute resolution. According to CAL 2010, ICE contract have different versions, which include: first, measurement version contract. Based on this contract, it could be remeasurement or lump sum contract suitable for large civil engineering work that worth £300,000. Second, minor work contract. It is a shortened form of measured version suitable for simple work with 6 month duration and up to £300,000 work. Third, design and construction contract. It is similar to measurable version, but the employer provides the initial design, which is based on employer requirement, which would be completed by contractor, and then carry out the construction work. Next will be the term version contract. It is used when there is severity of construction work or work at different locations to be executed over a period of time. It also accommodates emergency call-out type work. Next, allergical investigation contract. It is a simple contract for allergical investigation. Next, ground investigation contract. It is similar to manual version and suitable when the employer intends to develop a site and requires specific contractor to perform substance on-site investigation. Last will be the direct cost contract. It is essential for a cost reimbursement contract. However, a direct cost mechanism option is provided to give the contractor incentive to control costs.
Relation to construction industry. Contracts are essential to civil engineering projects being completed successfully. ICE has considerable expertise in the provision of contractual services to the construction service. The ICE contract has been around since 1945 and is intended for use of civil engineering work. Civil engineering work is fundamentally different from building work. It involves fewer tracks but can be much bigger in scale. There is greater uncertainties in civil engineering work, particularly in groundworks. For example, cloud trough is about unforeseen ground conditions. It is the common source of contractual dispute under ICE condition of contract. This clause is considered in detail and its practical application and interpretations is discussed with respect to all parties involved. When a site investigation takes place for building work, boreholes and trial pit usually give a good indication of the intent of groundwater, rock, and the like. In the case of a large reservoir, for example, it is impossible to be as certain. This in turn can mean that structural work needs to be varied. For these reasons, the work has to be remeasured and valued as its progress, the bill of quantity being approximate. A point of confusion is when should work be measured and valued under the contract variation provisions, and when should the remeasurement provision is used. The bill of quantities therefore have two main functions. Firstly, as a tendering document, and secondly, as a basis for the variation. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video presentation.